Good evening and welcome. Tonight we'll be going over the history and geography of Barbados. My voice is very squeaky right now and I've got a cough drop in. So anyway, Barbados is in the Caribbean in a very peculiar place. I'm going to show you exactly where it is. Later in the video, I'll get my tablet out and I'll show you Barbados on Google Earth. But imagine the main islands of the Caribbean and then the lower islands kind of make a hook shape all the way down to Trinidad and Tobago. And Barbados is like outside of it, way out in the corner. So it's pretty much technically surrounded by the Atlantic Ocean, but this side is definitely far more Caribbean than Atlantic. Let me get pencil to demonstrate. Barbados is actually a coral island. It's mostly made of like limestone coral, which means a couple things. It means we've got lots of really interesting coral reefs you can see here, there, and up here. And the limestone is very porous, meaning that once it gets wet, water just kind of seeps through and makes holes. So there's lots of really interesting caves all throughout Barbados. I'll show you some. There's some really interesting ones up here. Right here is the highest point. It's Mount Hillaby. You can see it's just, 340 meters? It's not very big. Barbados, for the most part, is pretty flat, especially compared to a lot of other Caribbean islands that have big old volcanoes and stuff. Barbados does not have volcanoes since it's a coral island, not a volcanic island. So it's generally flatter, very hilly. For pretty much all this part up here is very hilly. This part's very flat. And Barbados, of course, has beautiful beaches all around it. Here's the capital city of Bridgetown, definitely the largest city. Other major cities would be Holetown, Speightstown, and Bathsheba. The airport's located down here. And for the most part, that's pretty much it for Barbados' geography. There's not, I mean, it's not that there's not much. It's a beautiful country, right? But in terms of geographic points, that's pretty much it. It's beaches, hills, beautiful flora and fauna, and yeah, it is a very touristy paradise as well. And yes, it is where Rihanna is from. I know that's the one fact that everybody knows about Barbados, but we'll talk about that later in the video. So let's just get right into history. It's also kind of a short one. There were actually ancient people on this island about 1600 BCE, very, very long ago, but they disappeared, and we don't know who they were, what they really did, or why they disappeared. And the island was populated by Arawak people starting in about 800 CE, kind of off and on. The Caribs would drop by every once in a while, but they may or may not have had settlements on Barbados. And it's unknown who actually spotted Barbados first in terms of the Europeans, if it was Spain or Portugal. One of them named it Barbados after these big trees that look like beards, means the bearded one. And they didn't really bother to land or do anything on it except for occasionally passing by and taking slaves for their other colonies. It wasn't until 1625 when the first English ship landed on Barbados, and the first settlement was established in 1927 around Holetown over here. And it was a proprietary colony, which means it was a colony that was owned by a single person or company. In this case, it was a single person who owned a company, technically. And the profits of that company would be split between like the crown and the owner. And Barbados was incredibly arable, considering that it's fairly flat and not volcanic. So a lot of industry happened here in terms of agriculture. The settlers here were pretty much just tenants, since it was a proprietary colony. which means like the people living here just worked for the company, or they were indentured servants who came to serve a certain amount of time working, and once their time was up, they were allotted a little bit of land for themselves. What is it's a pen I have on my desk? Let me move that. There we go. Okay. But in about the 1650s, which if you know your English history, was a pretty turbulent time. There's a civil war going on. This was when like Cromwell was in power. They would send prisoners over here to work, and they would even kidnap people to send over here. It was particularly Irish people who were kidnapped and sent to Barbados, and there was even a term where you would be Barbadosed. That means being kidnapped and sent to Barbados to work. Very scary, actually. It's very eerie. And there's no exact numbers because obviously it was underground, right? So we don't really know how many people were kidnapped and sent to Barbados. The main industry at first was tobacco. There were quite a few others, but in the 1640s, sugarcane was introduced and it exploded. It was by far the most profitable sugarcane island in the Caribbean. And like in terms, I think, of like the little islands, right? Or maybe in terms of British owned islands. I'm not sure. There was a stat I read. I didn't really write it down. Anyway, it became incredibly valuable. So if you have sugarcane plantations, that means you need to have a lot of people running the plantations. And a lot of people started to not come over for indentured servitude because they simply ran out of land to give on Barbados. It was all claimed. So what was the point of being an indentured servant if you weren't going to get a reward, right? And you can only kidnap so many people before people start calling you out and being like, stop. So they kidnapped African slaves to work the plantations, and after a couple decades of that, there was a massive slave population on Barbados. It was huge. They vastly outnumbered the white plantation owners and the white workers. There were quite a few slave revolts, the more famous ones being in 1816, that was led by Busa. It failed, but today Busa is a national hero. There was also one in 1819 that ended very bloodily and grimly, and yikes, it was bad. So it really helped the abolitionist movement over in England to end slavery, which would happen by 1833. So in that sense, in Barbados, the plantation owners were pretty much just running the show, right? They had all the money and all the political power, so they really just got richer. The poorer just kind of got poorer, and there weren't many options for jobs, so you have to work the plantations, which doesn't earn you a lot of money, blah blah blah, so on and so forth. Until the Great Depression, a lot of people left Barbados because there's just no opportunities, and when the Depression hits, people demanded change, better working conditions, and labor parties started to form. The first one was formed by Grantley Adams. He founded the Barbados Labor Party in 1938, and he would go on to become the first premier of Barbados in 1953. Barbados earned self-government in 1961. They joined the West Indies Federation, which was like an attempt to make a big union of lots of newly independent island nations, but it failed. So Barbados achieved full independence on November 30th, 1966, and they joined the Commonwealth of Nations, which is like another club for former British colonies. They transitioned from an agriculture society to a tourism society, which has greatly benefited it. And Barbados has done spectacularly well for itself. There's never really been any turbulence in terms of like military or politics really at all in its history. They're outside the hurricane belt. They've only really had one massive hurricane in its history in the 1700s. They don't have volcanoes. It's not seismically active. Life is just kind of going along in Barbados. It just seems like a very chill place to be. And like I said, it's where Rihanna was born, and also considered to be one of the best cricket players of all time, Sir Garfield Sobers, born in Bridgetown. Most recently in 2021, Barbados left the Commonwealth realm to become a republic, which simply just means they ditched Queen Elizabeth II as their head of state, got rid of her Governor General Representative, and instead now have a president. And that's gone pretty well. They're still in the Commonwealth, they're just not in the realm of the Commonwealth, if that makes any sense. The Commonwealth, to be honest, is really weird, but that's pretty much it for Barbados, to be honest. It's a very relaxed, chill place. So with that being said, I'm gonna go grab my tablet and we'll check out Barbados from Google Earth. Alright, so here we are in Barbados. First, let me show you exactly where we are. There's little Barbados. You can see there's St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Grenada. So we zoom out, zoom out, zoom out. There's South America. Kind of tilt it more this way. Cuba, Hispaniola, and everything else. So this is where Barbados is. So you can see what I mean when I say it's kind of way out there, and that it's not in this chain of islands here. It's its own thing out here. So let's start in Bridgetown at the most important spot, the Rihanna Monument. I love Rihanna. She's one of my favorite singers of all time. So here's the house she grew up in. And let me show you. There's this cool plaque that, maybe there's a better picture without tourists there. Rihanna Drive. Isn't that cool? And get your home street named after you. Is there a better picture? Oh, it's all tourists standing there. Which I don't blame them. I would too. I love Rihanna. Okay, that's really cool too. So let me go back to, and try not to flip too fast because I don't want to give any of you guys whiplash or nothing. There we go. Okay, this is our diamond. So it was an Independence Day event, November 30th, 2017. Rihanna was there, and she said she was a girl riding bikes, running around barefoot and flying kites in the cemetery, and had big dreams. So let me show you that cemetery, right? So we are here on Rihanna Drive. You can see that's her house right there. And then look at this big old cemetery right there. I would have loved that if I was a kid, to be honest. You get to run around this huge cemetery to play. But that's just me. And Rihanna too, apparently. So here is Bridgetown. Very big city, as you can tell. There's the cruise terminal. Over here is the visitor center for the Gay Distillery, which I'll point out to you, but this place has the best pictures. I guess if you don't have time to go up to the actual distillery, Gay rum is apparently the best rum in the world. I wouldn't know, I don't drink alcohol, but apparently it's like the most famous, best rum, one of the oldest made rums as well. Big old barrels. I almost choked on my cough drop. Okay, I'm alright. I cannot talk with anything in my mouth. I will never be able to do a gum chewing video, you guys. Look at this. Unaged. And after 30 years, it looks like that. That's really neat. All the things they used to make rum. All their tools. All the drinks you can make with rum in it. Pretty neat. Let's see, what else did I want to show you? Oh my gosh, I remember what I wanted to show you. If I can remember where it is. It was on the beach here, which, as you can see, there's gorgeous, gorgeous beaches all over. Nope, here it is. It's right here. I didn't have to go far at all. Check this out. Rascal's Aqua Fun Park. Look how fun this looks. Oh, that sounds awesome. And the warm Caribbean water, you just run around and play Wipeout. That looks so much fun. Anyway, that was very important for me to show you. Meanwhile, some actual important things. We have, I believe it's up here, so I'm crunching my cough drop if you can hear that. The sanitation headquarters is actually very, very important because Barbados is very densely populated over here. And remember, like I said, that limestone is porous, so you can't really dump your waste anywhere, so very important. Here's the caves. Harrison's Cave Eco Adventure Park, which there's a lot of random pictures in this slideshow, but there's some cool ones of the caves. Look at this. How neat is that? Oh, it's so cool. Look at all that. It's like the main visitor building, it looks like. Oh, that's cool. That would be a really fun place to explore. Beautiful flowers, of course. Such cool formations. And of course, beautiful tropical trees and flowers. And look, you could take a little cart, go around the cave. That sounds like fun. Like I said, tourism is the big moneymaker in Barbados, so lots of things have been made so that they're more touristy or have a touristy angle to them. Alright, so we're on the Atlantic coast. Let me show you the difference. So look at this water. Look how choppy it is, and look how just windswept everything is. It's pretty rough waters. This is not a place to go swimming and surfing or anything like that. These waters are choppy and windy. And yeah, this is definitely caused by wind. There's a reason there's not a huge city over here, but there is over there, right? Because those waters are beautiful and serene and tropical. This is just cold Atlantic crashing waves. Look at these. Like, it's no joke. Big crashes. Let me see if there's anything else I can remember I wanted to show you guys. That's where the Gay Distillery is, but the pictures in the other place are cooler. And there's some pretty botanic gardens and some cute little animal reserves, but okay, I guess I'll show you since I'm here. Oh yeah, I did want to show you the green monkeys, which are apparently all over the place. And they're very mischievous and aggressive, but they are very adorable. There's a fat chonker. We've got... Is there anything in there? Turtles in there? I can't tell. Look at this. Oh, so cute. I forget what these are called. It's buried deep in my head. It's that tiny deer mammal thing. I can't remember what they're called. There's more green monkeys. Beautiful peacock. Some tortoise. And look at this. Look at the monkeys on the turtles. So cute. A little deer. A pretty bird. There's the monkey contemplating life right there. Thinking over its life choices. And yeah, anyway. You know me, I could look at animal pictures all day, but for the most part, you see what I mean by it's very flat. Let me move it to 3D view. This is an actual 3D view. Like, you can see the hills and things. Right? There's Sugar Hill, right? It's very flat. Like, there's lots of farmland right there. And yeah, pretty much it's a very, very flat place. I'm trying to think what else I wanted to show you, if I can just remember where they are. Let's look at this botanical garden, the flower forest one. It's really pretty. Beautiful trees. Gorgeous flowers. There's the big bearded tree. It's important to show you guys. That's what Barbados is named after. And, I mean, for the most part, that's about it. Oh, I should show you the little steam train, too. Everywhere I looked and I was researching Barbados, everything mentioned the steam train. So this is, I'm sure, an old plantation, and it has a train. And you can ride on it and have a great time on the train. Everything I researched mentioned the train, so I've now mentioned the train. Oh, look at this. I found this too. This creepy old lighthouse building. Like, oh yeah, like when I say Barbados is flat, look at this. It's pretty flat. And this place is haunted, okay? Like, I don't care if you don't believe in ghosts. This place is haunted by something, right? It's so creepy and eerie. Can you imagine being here at night? Yeah. It's creepy looking. So anyway, for the most part, that is Barbados. For one reason or another, Barbados has always been on my bucket list. I think at first it was just because I really like to say Barbados. Feels good coming out of my mouth when I say it. And of course Rihanna, who I love and adore. I have since her first album. I've been a fan of hers since the beginning. But it's just a beautiful island, and it's very well suited for tourists, and they speak English, and it was just always a big dream destination of mine. So someday I'll get to go to this little island. But for now, that's going to be it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope that you found this video relaxing and educational, and I hope that you have a very good night. Good night.